My name's Bill Smith. I live in Wigan, Lancashire. Let me tell you a short story of how God provided presents for a little boy who had none one Christmas. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." A few years ago, a few days before Christmas, the thought dropped into my mind that I should buy a present for a little boy who really needed to be cheered up for Christmas. A little boy from a deprived background. I didn't know of any little boy in that situation, so I prayed about it, asking the Lord to confirm whether or not the thought was from him. Well, the thought stayed with me and grew stronger. However, I still did not know who the little boy was, but I was certain that he was very young. 2 days later, the desire to buy a present was so overwhelming, I simply had to go out and find a present for a little boy. And even to think about it made me weep. And my wife was shocked when she saw the state I was in, and she thought something bad had happened, until I explained the reason for my grief. She said I ought to go out and buy the present first. So I went out to look for toy shops, only to find the ones I knew from years ago had gone. I ended up in the toy department at the Asda superstore. I was just beginning to think how cheap and tacky modern toys looked. And then I saw it. A nice, big toy Land Rover. Big. With big chunky wheels and doors which opened and lights which worked. I took it off the shelf. I wouldn't have minded playing with it myself. And then I thought, well, it's Christmas. One present isn't enough. So I walked further down, and there it was, a nice big pickup truck. It also had doors which opened and lights which worked. I took it off the shelf and walked to the checkout. As soon as I had bought them, I felt exceedingly glad. I still didn't know who the little boy was, but by now I had no doubt the Lord had been directing me. I prayed again and again about this little boy, and I became quite heartbroken because of him. Christmas Day was almost upon us, and in desperation I phoned 2 local orphanages and the Salvation Army to try and find him, but all I got was either no answer at all or an answering machine. But I needn't have become desperate. A tiny handful of Christian friends were also praying with me, asking God to show us who the special little boy was. Late at night, I received a phone call from one of them, who said he believed he had found the boy we were looking for. So my wife and daughter wrapped the presents up nicely, and early next morning I took them to my friend, and he said he would take them to the boy's home. At lunchtime that day, I was informed the toys had gone to an 8-year-old boy who comes from a shocking background and is now with foster parents. Now, although he was 8 years old, he was psychologically damaged and had the mind of a 4-year-old. And his new foster parents sent back word that the Land Rover and pickup truck would delight him beyond all his expectations this Christmas. Now, my friends, you will just have to take my word for this. The joy of the Lord began to glow inside me. On Christmas Day, I went to church and sat down. When I arrived, it was still almost empty because I was early, but a lady came in and sat down right in front of me. I didn't know who she was, but I was told secretly that she was the little boy's new foster mother. We ended up chatting together, but I did not let her know that it was me who had bought the presents. She told me how the authorities involved had brought the troubled little boy to her house for fostering. About the same time, I received the word in my head to buy the presents. She said all he had was the clothes he was wearing. He had suffered abuse. He had never had any Christmas presents in his life. And I asked her if he had enjoyed his Christmas morning. And she said, oh, he's having a really wonderful, wonderful time. Blessed be the name of the Lord in all the earth. Amen.